We recorded. Very nice. Yeah, so it was. All right, we are live streaming. That's the last thing I got to do. There it is. There it is.
You were at the Who concert
The
last night,
Who,
right?
the Who.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Tell us
had
about
a
it.
they had a full orchestra. So that is a full string section, full brass section, and the band was a five-piece band, and Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey are the only original members left, and they're old. They're old as hell. They're like pushing 80 right now, but
Wow.
they did a good show. They played for about 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And
For 80, almost 80. Wow. That's
yeah. Well, I think when you're up on stage and you're prancing around like that every night, that tends to be good for your health.
so is it like a tour? Is it a tour? Are they going to
Yeah,
several
this is they're touring the United States, and I think they're
Wow.
touring Europe, and maybe it's their farewell tour. But they've been having farewell tours since 1983, so for 40
And they're
years.
still here.
Yeah,
And they're still here.
yeah. It reminds me of there's a story I can't remember. Maybe it was in a Steve Chandler book that I read this where Grandma was she's 55 and she says, I'm not going to be around much longer. Then she's 65. I'm not going to be around much longer. And so she's saying that she's 95 and she's saying, I'm not going to be around much longer.
That's funny. Yeah. So just because she thought she wouldn't be here longer, then she's still here. So
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about that is she's telling everybody that, and she's living her life like she's not going to be around much longer.
which is sad because it means
Yeah.
that for 40 years she lived as she was, which sometimes could be the opposite, because usually when you know that you don't have a long time to live, that's when you decide to live your best
Right.
life.
Right.
So
Exactly.
if it was
Exactly.
in that view, why not? But if it was like to be like to live a
Yeah.
miserable life, maybe not.
Yeah, and actually, I had some thoughts about because a lot of the people in the arena were pushing 80 themselves,
So you were
and
one of the youngsters.
well, yeah, but then I discovered one of the middle school students this morning. He's a sixth grader. He was there last night.
Oh,
So
so sweet.
but yeah, a lot of these people are having some issues that
Yeah.
I really want to myself not deal with if I can avoid it, and that's why I like we were talking about intermittent fasting and the book you recommended to me. I was reading that or listening to that on the train, going there and coming back, and it's like it's because I don't want to end up like some of these people who are struggling to get down the stairs into their seats, or the guy sitting next to me was so large that he barely fit in his seat, and stuff like that. I want to make sure that
Yeah.
I do my best to take care of my body and live my
It's
best
the
life.
quality of life, because people say
Yeah.
now we live longer. It's
Yes.
true that we live longer because modern medicine,
Mm.
does a lot of great things, but it's about the quality of your life.
Yes.
So I would rather live extremely longer and be in the best shape I can.
Yes.
I don't want to be living. I think I still want to live, but I think it's harder. You don't enjoy life. Sometimes I see people who are very large or,
Yes.
handing like they have to walk half a mile and they're extremely tired.
Yes.
And I wonder what pleasure there is in living that kind of life,
Well,
or when I don't know, and I have learned not to blame people who are very large, because
right.
for some it's something that they can't, there is always a reason why.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
that whether it's food addiction or just even being big, is you're kind of in a prison,
Mhm.
because when you have been used to eating large quantities, and when you are um, um, insulin resistant, as
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you are hungry all the time. You really feel it, right? So it's very difficult. I have a lot of compassion
Yeah.
for people, because it's extremely difficult to lose weight, when you have just been used to eating a lot, and your body, what I've noticed is that the less I eat and the less hungry I am.
Yeah.
But the
Right.
more I eat, the hungrier I am too.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And you were talking about whether people are enjoying their lives. I know for me, 10, 12 years ago when I weighed 70 pounds more than I do now, I really didn't enjoy the experience of being in my body that much. It was a struggle, and the thought error for me was like there's nothing I can do to change this because this is just the way it is, and the only way I feel better is if I eat, right?
yeah, because it's hard. And
Yeah.
I can understand that you felt that way, because it almost looked like the impossible task, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
what you know is that I skip a meal and I'm super hungry.
Right.
But what most people don't know is that hunger doesn't stay.
Hmm.
I said sometime to my older son, he's like, Mom, I'm hungry. I'm like, you know what? If you drink water,
Yeah.
I'll give you 10 minutes. You will forget that you're hungry. And
Yeah.
sometimes he
It's like a
does.
wave that comes in and goes out. Yeah.
Yes. Nobody, like, yeah, like the real pangs, hunger pang is, I mean, either you don't leave it often or it just goes away if you ignore it.
Right. Yeah. I was just thinking about well, so we were moved. I sort of expected that I was going to sit at the concert in a seat that was in a section where there maybe weren't a lot of people, but they moved us all down to better seats, which was nice. But the person I was sitting next to, he was. I don't want to be judgy. I just want to be compassionate. But he sat very still in his seat, right?
Mm,
And I could actually hear from just sitting next to him his digestive system working and
mm,
processing
yeah.
the things, and it didn't seem like he was very comfortable. And I wonder what happened about halfway through the concert. He and his companion, I don't know if they went to another place in the arena or if they just left, but it's like, yeah,
Yeah, it's hard. Again,
yeah,
compassion is the word, because I think we all want to live a happy, healthy life.
mm-hmm.
And it's a whole nother debate. But what happens is that you don't just become big overnight.
Right,
And I think a lot of it has to do with the habits from childhood.
right,
There is a whole debate on that, the fact that you can feed a whole family maybe with $20 at McDonald's, and you can just have a few things, a few
yeah,
vegetables with that money. So if
yeah,
it has become so much cheaper to eat junk than to eat real food, that's a real
right,
question. That's a real problem, probably, of the
yeah,
society, and it's a whole nother debate.
yeah.
Um, but it's not easy to be healthy. It's not
Hmm.
easy to eat. It's expensive. It's time consuming. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it's
not only
hard.
that, you have to when you're making those changes, you have to deal with the emotional ramifications of that. It's like, well, I'm dealing with that right now because I've tweaked my diet. It's like you have to deal with the fact that you used to feel an uncomfortable emotion, and the solution for that was to consume something, to eat something.
Yes, and it's a roller coaster, and it's like a slippery slope once you've started, right? But I would say, like everything or anything in life, I think it's never too late, and there is always
Yeah,
something you can do about it.
yeah,
And I think it's good to take the problem individually. Each
hmm,
person, I think
yeah,
each person will deal it. Each person has a different story, and each person deals with whatever he's dealing with differently.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's, yeah, we don't judge people. If you know their story, there is a reason why they are the way they are.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
if we had to choose, probably we'll all be living in our best body and, living the best life.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Life happens, but the hope, my hope is that we can decide. It boils down to choice.
Mm-hmm.
We can decide that we want to be healthy.
Yeah.
We can decide that we want to change our lifestyle, and just take it one action at a time.
Right.
Because if we think that, oh my goodness, I have 100 pounds to lose, I don't even want to start. But if you look
That's
at
a big,
just the next pound, and celebrate each pound that you lose, I think,
mm-hmm.
yeah, you can.
And
It's a compound
like
effect.
yourself through the journey. That's
Through the
one of the
journey.
things that
I heard something yesterday. It's who said it? I heard something that says that you I want to find it, because it was basically, it had to do with what I do in life, helping women look and feel beautiful. Because usually they will tell me, some woman will tell me, oh, I want to buy these clothes, but I need to lose some weight. I don't like myself right now.
yeah.
And what I read yesterday was something in these lines. The magic is that when I start loving myself now,
Yeah.
then change happens.
Yes.
And I don't know exactly what the quote was, but what I tell to the woman is, you need to love the body you have today,
Right.
because this is your
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
When you love it, you adorn it the right way, it will give you the energy and the desire
Yep.
to look even better.
Yep.
So you always start where you are.
Yep.
One thing at a time, one thought at a time, 1 pound at a time, one accessory at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Mhm.
you never. But by the way, I was going to mention this. My cup
Yes.
is filled with coffee with no cream. I'm trying
Oh,
that this morning.
yes.
I'm
Wow.
diving into that, and it's so far I'm doing okay.
You are going all in. That's very impressive, all of these changes. And you are, I would usually say to people, just do one change at a time. Don't do it all together, because it's a lot. And do you think it's sustainable for you to do all of these changes at once?
Oh, we'll see. I'm thinking it will be. I haven't noticed any other than my emotional state, right? And me
You're
getting sort of up,
crankier? Are you
yeah,
crankier?
getting a little crankier. But other than that, I haven't noticed any significant changes in my energy level, except maybe my energy level has raised a little bit.
So
Yeah,
it has increased a little more. Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm noticing that I'm not, because my default before was my idea of intermittent fasting, which I got from Brooke Castillo, because that was her recommendation, is like coffee and cream is okay, like heavy cream is okay, and now the book you recommended to me, she's saying no, you don't want to even taste anything that doesn't have calories. If it's sweet, you don't want it, because that's going to stimulate
Yeah. Even
your
your
yeah yeah
toothpaste
yeah
stimulates that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, but what would happen is I would wake up at 5 in the morning and just have coffee with cream until noon, and then around noon I would break my fast. But then after that, I would feel kind of tired because of the food in my stomach, and so I would have to take a nap. I would need to take like a half-hour nap or 45-minute nap right after lunch, and so that's a new thing for me to kind of process, is like, well, if I'm not eating, then I don't have to take a nap because I'm not tired.
What have you noticed since did you have to have a nap?
I've since I went all in on this 19-hour or whatever thing, I haven't really had to have a nap, which is interesting.
Oh, wow. So that's already a change, right?
And actually, another change. This was really interesting. Is last night I was really noticing smells a lot more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was noticing all the smells, wafted the fragrance of the room, if you could call it that. And of course, there were, I'm not gonna lie, there were lots of drugs there, lots of people smoking their joints, even in the indoor arena, even though it's not in the security. But you could smell that from far off, and then just the smells of the food and the alcohol, because lots of people are drinking alcohol there, and so I noticed that my sense of smell was much more acute than
Yeah,
it has
wow.
been, and that's
I think
because I
that's
think of
big.
yeah, because my body's not having to process the food.
Well, I love
Yeah,
that you are not having more energy and you don't
yeah,
need to take a nap, and then you feel like your sense of smell is being more acute. So yeah,
yeah,
keep noticing.
yeah.
I've been doing it for almost 3 years, and I love that food doesn't control me, right?
Yes,
I
yeah,
can s- I feed my kids, and I
yeah,
don't need to eat. I eat when I decide to eat,
mhm,
and um, my energy level is great. My weight is great. And
mhm,
yeah, so I think it's, yeah, each person decides and see what it does. And
yeah,
I usually don't even like to tell people do this number of hours. I wanted you to read the book and to know by yourself, because it's medical as well. I don't know your conditions and things
mhm,
like that, so I
mhm.
don't want to be responsible for any of it. But I could
Yeah,
recommend you. I'm like, well, read it, try. I like to say that everything is an experience. What I
yeah,
experience might not be what you will
right.
experience. So I can't tell you, I can't convince you. And that's also my two things are truth. I don't want
Yeah,
to convince you. I
yeah.
want to explain you, and then do your own work and decide for
Yeah,
yourself.
but from our conversations, you know that I would be. This is something that I'd be into. I'd be all in because I was already a practitioner of intermittent fasting, and I'm always looking for different tweaks
Yeah.
to enhance my life or do an incremental improvement to my life and my experience of living in my body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And for me, maybe that is my journalistic, that shaping. I always like to go to the source.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
go to, when I do, I like, that's maybe why I have all of these books. I love researching. When I hear an idea, I think you are that way too.
Hmm.
I like to go to the source so that I know what
Yep.
I'm believing. When I
Yeah.
became a
Exactly.
Christian, I decided to do the Alpha course to go to the foundations of it,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
that it's not my next pair of shoes. Everything that I do, when I embrace something, I go all in. And I know
Yes.
that people have always said, "Oh, you go all in," because I think that's a way to embrace it or
Mm.
just dismiss it.
Yeah.
And I like to experience things myself firsthand and decide if I continue or not.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually we're at time. We're over time, of course, which is, but that might be a future conversation. Like where in our lives are we going all in versus where in our lives are we dabblers?
Yeah. We'll talk about it, but for
Yeah,
optimum results, I found that going all in
yeah,
and then getting all out if you have to
yeah. I like that too.
is,
Getting
is
all
always
out.
best.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna cut this, but thank you all for joining us. Those of you who
We'll
joined
see you
us
tomorrow.
on the
Thank
call,
you.
and we'll see you. Have a beautiful. What is it today? The 18th. Have a beautiful
Yeah, fall
October
day. I
18th.
love that your background is matching your shirt. It's really cool.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
yeah.
See, I'm complimenting you today.
That's awesome. All right. See you later, everybody. And let me stop the recording. Nice.